rules.
Sure.
All right, good evening, everybody. Today's Wednesday, January 22nd. The time is 6:30 p.m., and I am calling this meeting of the Macomb Township Board of Trustees to order. And we will now say the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Clerk Posey, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. Trustee Cusimano?
Here.
Trustee Lucido?
Here.
Trustee Papa?
Here.
Trustee Oliver?
Here.
Treasurer Drollet?
Here.
Clerk Posey here. Supervisor Viviano?
Here.
All members are present.
Thank you. Moving on to approval of the agenda. Are there any additions, deletions, or corrections?
Motion to approve the agenda with an add-on of number 20. Motion to approve, approve the response to Macomb County Department of Roads regarding speed limit increase on Hayes Road.
Motion to approve with the addition.
Second.
Any questions or discussion? Motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Kuzmano, to approve the agenda with the addition. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to approval of the bills. Is there a motion to approve?
So move.
Second.
Any questions or discussion on the bill run this week? Hearing none, motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Clerk Posey, to approve the bill run. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 4 is approval of the previous meeting's minutes from January 8th.
So moved. Support.
Any questions or discussion on the previous meeting's minutes? Hearing none, motion by Trustee Papa, supported by Trustee Lucido, to approve the previous meeting's minutes from January 8th. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. All right, this will take us to our first public comment of the evening. This is for agenda items only. Anyone wishing to make comment on one of the agenda items may do so now at the microphone on the right-hand side of the room. I don't see anyone making a motion, so we're going to move on to the consent agenda.
Mr. Chair, I move the consent agenda in its entirety.
Second.
Any questions or discussion on any of the consent items?
Mr. Chairman, I have a question regarding the agenda item 6A, which is for the Neptune meters. It seems to be a subscription fee.
Kevin? Go ahead, Frank. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
The question through the chair is, do we pay a subscription fee per contract, and has it been increased or decreased over the last term of the contract?
So the cost is, it's $2 and change per account that we have in our system. We have roughly 30 to 32,000 accounts, water and sewer accounts. So it's $2 and change per account. So as we get more accounts, the cost increases. The unit cost has not changed. This is an annual subscription that we do that maintains our Neptune 360 program that allows us to pull the radio reads from the AMI system, which is our polls. It allows us to capture all of our readings internally and be able to get all the readings from the meters.
Is that the only option available under the contract?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. That's
Thank you,
all.
Trustee Kuzma. Any other questions or discussion on the consent items? Hearing none, motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Clerk Posey, to approve the consent agenda. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. All right, this will take us to our, item 9 is presentation. And we have a retiring part-time firefighter. Chief?
Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, part-time firefighter Anthony Hojanacki was hired as a paid-on-call firefighter on January 4th of 2005. Part-time firefighter Hojanacki transferred to part-time on July 1st, 2024, and retired after 20 years of service to Macomb Township on January 4th of 2025. At this time, I'd like to present him with his helmet as a token of our appreciation for his 20 years of service.
Well done.
Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your service. That was nice.
Now, on behalf of the entire board, we want to thank firefighter Hojanaki for his 20 years of service, and the township is eternally grateful.
Thank you.
This will take us to item 10. So we have a fiscal year 2025 community block grant, community development block grant public hearing. This is for both service funding and brick and mortar projects. And when I open the public hearing, those of you who are here to present may do so at the microphone at the right-hand side of the room. So at this time, it is 6:36, and I am opening this public hearing. I know there's a few people here. Just please remember you have a 3-minute time limit.
May I get some information out to you?
Sure. Charlie, can you grab that?
Oh, you all right?
Yeah.
Good evening. My name is Christina Droz, and I'm the Finance Director at Maggie's Wigs for Kids of Michigan. Thank you for the opportunity to present this evening for consideration of a CDBG grant. We are a local grassroots 501c3 nonprofit organization that provides wigs and support services to children ages 3 to 18 at no charge throughout the state of Michigan. Founded in 2003, we have helped over 5,600 Michigan children, and the need is great. We have helped several families in the Macomb Township community since we started our program 22 years ago. In addition to the wigs, we are always growing our support services to help our kids emotionally, socially, and psychologically. We've had great success with our skincare class and makeup classes over the last year that help our kids embrace a positive self-image. We've expanded our VR for Kids program, which provides a virtual reality headsets to support them with pain management, meditation, and relaxation while they journey through their health challenge. This technology is in place at Stanford and Yale pediatric hospitals and started with kids with cancer until we expanded it to children with other forms of hair loss. All of our wig recipients are entitled to these services and more. We're in the process of building an addition to our wellness center to house more wigs, class supplies, and gifts for our welcome bags filled with comfort items given to each child on their first visit, so we continue to grow. This evening, we are asking for $1,200 through the CBG grant to help sponsor a wig for one child and their family from Macomb Township area, and any amount of funding is appreciated. Most importantly, if you ever know of a child in need of our services, we ask that you please refer them to us. We help everyone, we charge nothing, turn no one away, and we can be reached at 586-772-6656 or www.wigs4kids.org. We are also active on social media as well. Thank you for your consideration, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions right now?
Mr. Chair, I have a quick question. Thank you for your presentation. I appreciate what work you do. You mentioned that you'd help several children in Macomb Township. How many would that be in the last, let's say, the last year, 2024?
So, in the information that you have on the third page will tell you when we've helped the children and when their last appointment was. So, we have helped 3 kids from 2024.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Mr. Chair.
You're welcome.
No question, but I did just want to say that I've been familiar with Maggie and her work for a number of years and really like what they do.
Thank you.
Thank you, very noble.
I've learned a lot from her. I've been there going on 12 years.
Anyone else?
Quick question.
Sure.
Do you see the demand growing, stabilizing, or?
It continues to grow because we see new kids, every year. There are kids that still need our services, so that's why our program is available 3 through 18, because every year they're eligible for a new wig. So they don't just get one wig, they can get one every year.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay. If anyone else has materials they'd like the board to have before you speak, you can just bring them up around to the side while this presentation's going on.
Hi, good evening, everybody. I'm Nicole King. I'm the Program Director and Lead Forensic Interviewer at Care House. Care House is Macomb County Shield Advocacy Center. We have our main office in Mount Clemens, and then we have a satellite office located in Warren. Care House is the only agency in Macomb County who offers comprehensive services to child victims of sexual abuse, physical abuse, or children who have witnessed a violent act. Our goal is to minimize the trauma for child victims of abuse and provide coping skills, advocacy, and case management for their families. We collaborate with all law enforcement jurisdictions here in Macomb County, as well as the FBI, Homeland Security, Children Protective Services, Macomb County Prosecutor's Office, and medical and mental health professionals. The reality is at least 1 in 10 children will become victims of sexual abuse before they turn 18. In almost 3 kids in every Michigan classroom, and over 20,000 of all children right here in Macomb County are living with the trauma of sexual abuse. These numbers are surely much higher because what we know is that children oftentimes never tell. And sadly, children living with sexual abuse, it affects kids of every race, gender, and socioeconomic status. Care House serves as a beacon of hope for child victims of sexual and physical abuse, as well as children who have witnessed a violent act, providing them with a safe haven where their voices can be heard and their needs can be met. In our space, children can share anything that might be troubling them. And when a detective makes an appointment for a forensic interview at Care House, they're opening a door of services that are vital for children and family members. They not only receive a forensically sound, fact-gathering, developmentally appropriate interview by a highly trained forensic interviewer, but their family will also receive information and guidance through a time of profound stress and crisis. Our services include crisis counseling, child safety and trauma assessments, parent and children support groups, trauma-focused therapy, family advocacy, ongoing case management, assistance with transportation, access to forensic medical exams, and referrals to any other community services. We also have family pantries with food and snacks, cleaning supplies, children coats, socks, mittens, school supplies, and games. Families are never charged for the services they receive at Care House, and we provide services to all referred children and their non-offending family members. I'm also proud to report that in our most recent independent financial audit, 92 cents of every dollar that comes into Care House is specifically devoted to serving children and the families in our community. Since opening in 1996, we have conducted 11,300 child forensic interviews, with 633 of those children residing here in Macomb Township. Last year, in 2024, we conducted 620 forensic interviews. 54 of those children resided in Macomb Township. We also provide ongoing therapy and advocacy services for several more Macomb Township children and their families. We depend on support from our community to provide a voice for child victims and a safe place for them to be heard. We are grateful for all the past support and respectfully request your consideration for funding for this upcoming year in the amount of $12,000, and that would provide services for 20 qualifying child victims
Okay,
that reside here.
thank you.
Yep.
Any questions for her from the board? No?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Good evening. My name is Sherry Warnock, and I'm a volunteer coordinator at Interfaith Volunteer Caregivers, or IVC. The number of older adults in Macomb County is expected to increase by more than 90% by 2040. This group of seniors needs extra support services due to changes that come with aging, chronic health conditions, or disabilities. At the same time, family structures are changing, often leaving seniors with nobody nearby to help. For over 30 years, our nonprofit organization has been providing free basic assistance to hundreds of frail, older, and physically challenged adults, and this assistance helps with transportation, chores, respite breaks, errands, and reducing loneliness. These opportunities provide fulfilling experiences for those who wish to volunteer, as well as the support for those in need. The CDBG Safe at Home project of IVC is part of our larger chore and repair program. This project was developed to provide additional chore and repair services in communities that allocate funding for this purpose. Safe at Home allows us to assist low to moderate income seniors and physically challenged adults with indoor and outdoor chores, minor home repairs, and routine housekeeping. We identify individuals who cannot do these tasks on their own and have limited resources and prioritize those with the greatest need. We are requesting CDBG funds to increase the number of low-income citizens we can reach to grow our program, as well as to coordinate the volunteers who do the services. IVC provides almost 20,000 hours of help over all of its services to nearly 500 people in need each year. In Macomb Township, we have used all CDBG funding awarded by you right here in your community. We hope for more funding in the 2025-26 program year so that we can continue to build momentum and offer this service to more Macomb Township residents. We regularly get phone calls and notes of thanks for the things that our volunteers do. One volunteer who went out to fix a running toilet noticed that the screen door was sticking, and he fixed that while he was there. Another volunteer who was a visitor stepped in and did some housework and chores for her friend, her client, who was unexpectedly hospitalized. So other examples of help through this project may be replacing locks, washing windows, raking leaves, routine housekeeping, installing smoke alarms, that sort of thing. So with the CDBG funding, the Safe at Home project can continue to grow, and assistance can be granted to a variety of lower-income Macomb Township senior citizens. Thank you to the Board of Trustees for your consideration. Any dollar amount granted is greatly appreciated in our program, and we hope to continue to partner with you going forward. If anyone here tonight knows of any seniors who might use our assistance or are looking to give the time up to volunteer, please let us know by calling our office or visit our website at ivcinfo.org.
Thank you.
Can I answer any questions?
Any questions from the board?
Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Good evening. My name is Marion Schultz. I'm on the board of directors at the Samaritan House. I know that you've already received our documents for this, but I just want to recap it. It's been a very, very busy year for us at Samaritan House. Over the past several months, we have seen a 30% increase in requests for help. With the rising costs of just about everything, it deeply impacts our low-income clients. This past year, we expanded our service area to include all of Macomb Township. Because of the generosity of our community, we're able to continue to meet their needs. This mission takes shape in our work of fighting hunger and building bridges to stability for at-risk families. We have served the community since 1995. Over the past year in Macomb Township, we provided food assistance for 20 families, spending $5,062. We provided 4 families with an Easter food box and 9 families with a Thanksgiving food box, along with a $25 gift card to purchase the meat of their choice. Our kids' summer food program supplied 3 families with a $50 gift card for the months of June, July, and August, while children are home from school for the summer. Our backpack program supplied a backpack and supplies to 3 children. 2 children were provided new boots and coats through our boot and coat program. We are asking for you from the CDBG fund to disperse $500 in our to the Samaritan House. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions? Anyone?
Thank
Thank you very much. Are there any other presentations? I don't see anyone, so we are going to close the public hearing. The time is 6:50 p.m. I want to thank everybody for your sharing your stories with us tonight. I'm familiar with all the organizations, and they all do a great job for the residents of our township, so thank you. Moving on to item 11, there's a request for approval of the 2025 real property tax poverty resolution and guidelines.
Motion to approve.
Support.
I didn't ring the gavel.
Motion to approve.
We're good.
And support. Me.
Ms. Patterson.
Mr. Chairman and board members, the assessing department is requesting the board adopt the 2025 resolution for real property tax poverty exemption and guidelines to reflect the federal income level standard changes the applicants must meet to apply for a poverty exemption consideration.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Yes.
I guess maybe you, whoever wants to answer, is this something that we participate in annually? Is this a state rules, or how does this?
Yes, anybody that falls within the federal poverty guidelines has the option to come to the March, July, or December board and meet with the board and see if they qualify. Then the board of review will either totally 100% exempt them, 75, 50, or 25% if they qualify.
Have we had many in the past?
This past year, we had 6. 2 were given 100%, 2 were given 25%, and 2 were denied.
Okay. Good, thank you.
You're welcome.
Thank you, Trustee Oliver. Anyone else have a question? Okay. Motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Papa, to approve the 2025 real property tax poverty resolution and guidelines. Clerk Posey, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Chairman. Treasurer Drollet.
Yes.
Trustee Papa.
Yes.
Trustee Kuzmano.
Yes.
Trustee Lucido.
Yes.
Trustee Oliver.
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Viviano.
Yes, that resolution is adopted. Thank you. Moving on to item 12 is a request for authorization to proceed with professional services for survey and right-of-way parcel exhibits for the Broughton Road extension from 23.5 mile to 25 Mile Road in the amount of $64,600.
So moved.
Support.
Ms. Kozak.
Good evening, Mr. Chairman and members of the board. The engineering department is before you tonight requesting authorization to have our engineering consultant begin the first phase of the design for the Broughton Road Extension project. So we're requesting approval for a proposal for topographic survey and right-of-way exhibits to get that process started. There is an additional phase to the project for design, and we will be coming back to you probably the next meeting, but it might be the last meeting in February with the remainder of the design, but we wanted to get our consultant started so we can get this project moving. And this is for the Broughton Road extension from 23.5 all the way to 25 mile.
Thank you, Crystal. So I guess just a little more background. So this all stemmed from an award from the state of Michigan that was secured for Macomb Township by Senator Kleinfeld in the amount of $5 million to extend Broughton another half mile. There was already a plan to extend Broughton south of 24 for a half mile with the county and a local developer. We have been in discussions with the road department about the design of this road for about 8 months, a year. We are nearing an agreement with the road department on what this stretch of road is going to look like. And in order to proceed, these are the next steps. There'll be other things brought to the board, hopefully in the next few months, regarding acquiring the right-of-way and some other parts of the project, but this is the one that we need to get going on next. Any questions or discussion? No? A motion by Trustee Oliver, supported by Trustee Lucido, to approve the authorization to proceed with professional services for the survey and right-of-way parcel exhibits for the Broughton Road.
I think you got that backwards.
Did I read it backwards?
Yeah.
Motion by Lucido.
Yeah,
Oh, I'm sorry. Motion by Lucido, supported by Oliver. You're gonna make me read this whole thing again.
sorry.
Sorry.
You could have waited till I was done.
We
To
get it.
authorize the engineering department to proceed with professional services for the survey and right-of-way parcel exhibits for Broughton Road extension from 23.5 mile road to 25 mile road in the amount of $64,600. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Moving on to item 13 is a request to approve the two-year water and sewer rates study for fiscal years 2025 and 2026 by UFS in the amount of $35,985.
So move.
Board.
Mr. Johnson.
All right, good evening, board. So going back in 2022, the DPW awarded a cost of service study to UFS where they dove really detailed into all of our finances, making sure all of our costs were aligned, enterprise fund, forecasting for our rates, and making sure our capital improvement plan was all on par with the projections moving forward for our township, and then making sure that the rates we are charging to our residents are sufficient for what we are doing and our goals we're setting. From that point, I came to the board in June of 2023 requesting a two-year water rate update with rates adjusting on July of each year in 2023 and 2024. The township board amended that motion and only asked for 1 year increase in 2023, see what happens in the next year, and then I'll come back in 2024, which I did. The reason I'm explaining that is with UFS's projection of everything going on through our study, they were spot on and accurate with our budget, capital plan, how much we're spending through our enterprise fund, and really had it honed in as to how we're spending our money, how we're funding stuff, and how our rates are structured to make sure that we're going in the right direction. Everything was on par, and then the board then awarded or updated the rates in July of 24. Through that, UFS is very detailed oriented and and understand deeply how we do in our finances. And with that, I'd like to recommend UFS to complete this 2-year financial projection to update our water and sewer rates for the next 2 fiscal years. This project, so the RFP in 22 was cost of service, like I said, which was a 2-year financial projection, cost of service, and connection fee study. This one's just a financial projection, which is looking at our rates and then presenting them to the board. Just a little smaller scale than it was the last time. So I'm looking to award this to UFS, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Thank you, Mr. Johnson. Just to summarize what you just said is that 2 years ago, when we did the 2-year study, that was the first time the township had done a 2-year study, and prior to that, we had been doing it annually.
Oh, that's correct, yes.
So, and then your opinion is that it was successful because they properly identified the rates and everything was as accurate as it could be over a 2-year period.
Correct.
Any questions or discussion for Mr. Johnson?
I have one question.
Yes.
Do we pay more that we do it every 2 years versus if we did do it annually? Like, is there a...
If we did it annually, so there's a significant savings by doing it every 2 years. We'd be getting charged roughly $14,500 every year. Doing it every 2 years, we're only doing, it's like $16,500 per service. So $16,500 for water, and then also for sewer.
Okay, thank you.
So 3 years would be better, right?
I think ultimately we decided 2 years
Yeah.
would be reasonably accurate, and of course, the further you go in time, the less predictable it can be, and we want the rates to be predictable, or accurate, I should say. Any other questions or discussion?
Mr. Chairman, I have a couple questions.
Sure.
We spoke before the meeting started, and I pointed out that there was a difference of approximately $18,000 between the study that was approved in December of 2022. Could you tell the residents the reasons why they're charging less UFS?
Yes, so this study we're doing this time is just a financial projection to make sure that what we are charging the residents for water and sewer rates is in line with our budget, capital projects and such, and moving forward for financial goals. Back in 2023, it delved into all of our rates. Are we charging the proper amount for all of our fees behind the scenes? It delved deep into everything we do. This one's just looking at the finances, how we're spending, what's happening, and are the rates appropriate for what we're doing?
And it's my understanding that the reason why we're not doing it in-house is because UFS has proven themselves to be more accurate and professional in performing this service for the residents. Is that a fair statement?
Well, this is their expertise. Not to say in-house couldn't be performed the same way, but we don't have. They are honed in on this one item, whereas a lot of us we wear a lot of different hats. So to focus on this one thing would consume all of our time. So it's helpful to have a person who has the sole expertise, third party that can accurately project what we're doing for the future.
And again, so the residents are aware, we have responsibility to upkeep the infrastructure. That's a stewardship type role. Is that correct? I mean, we can't just let it go. Why don't you explain how a municipality that can't afford to keep its infrastructure maintained, what winds up happening to that municipality? Do they have a tendency to pay more for the repairs on an emergency basis?
On an emergency basis, yes, that's absolutely true. And depending on different financial projections, if they don't have enough money in their fund or they don't know, they're mismanaging money, let's say, it can be harder to get bonding, it can be harder to get finances or loans from the government when you're not rated properly to get funding, so it can affect you in a myriad of ways. So by the fact that we're taking care of things, we have a healthy fund, we can easily get loans or funding if need be. So all that plays a part in funding.
And it's my understanding that the anticipated projections anticipate the incursion of some debt through bonds for infrastructure, and that's to soften the impact on the residents. Is that correct?
That's fair to say. There's a balance of, do you pay everything in cash up front, or do you bond it so that not only do current residents incur the debt of the infrastructure being maintained, but also the future residents who are going to be living here also would incur some of that debt. So it's more of equality in what the board and we feel is the fairest for the residents of our township.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I'll note that in the minutes of December 21st, 2022, I voted no on the water and sewer rate study and water and sewer connection fee study to UFS. I'll be voting yes today. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kuzmano. So just to add a little bit onto what Trustee Kuzmano just spoke about, the infrastructure that we're responsible for, as far as water and sewer, water mains, sewer pipes, and I think the replacement, we've talked about this before, the replacement cost of those assets run into the hundreds and hundreds of millions of dollars, correct?
Yes.
So Macomb Township, under Kevin's leadership and Mr. Wangland before him, has an aggressive maintenance program so that we are not in a position where we have huge failures of pipes, big water main breaks, things that will, as we remember the 15-mile sinkhole incident as the most extreme example of a failure. When these rates are designed, it is a very careful balance that UFS goes through between not taking in more money than we absolutely need, but to making sure we have enough to maintain this very large network of pipes in the ground. And that's why we rely on an expert to do it.
Mr. Chair, if I may comment, while the projects that are outlined in our capital plan for infrastructure are very expensive, we as a board try to look at every penny. And one of the things that the board successfully did was apparently moving to the 2-year studies as opposed to the annual study, an effort to reduce the cost of the study and still maintain accuracy. And we have, it looks like that was a success, that that 2-year study did project accurately, and therefore we saved, what did we end up saving, about $15,000 or so?
About $30,000.
About $30,000. So, $30,000 is a lot of money. So I'm happy to see it worked out. I knew it was a change. Previously, it had been done annually, and I credit those on the board who advocated for that change as being successful. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Okay. Motion by Treasurer Dillett, supported by Trustee Oliver, to approve the 2-year water and sewer rate study for fiscal years 2025 and 2026 to UFS in the amount of $35,985. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Mr. Johnson. Moving on to item 14 is the request to approve contract to develop Town Center Overlay District with Carlisle Wortman in the amount of $17,124.
Motion to approve.
Support.
Mr. Box.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman and board members. We've already spoke about Broughton Road once this evening. This has to do with that. As you know, our town center area that we're in this evening, the plan is to have Broughton Road extended as well as develop around that. So with the idea, the concept created now of what Broughton Road is going to look like, we have an idea of what the right-of-way needs are. We would like to work with our planning consultant to get an overlay district which will help shape the development around that roadway to meet the plans and the vision that we've had for town center for a number of years. With that, we've reviewed their plan before you this evening, and staff is in support of that.
Thank you, Mr. Box. Why don't you take a second and just explain what an overlay district is and how it's different than just the zoning?
So it will work in tandem with the zoning. Zoning kind of plays a role in what can go in a certain area, but the overlay district will help shape far more details about what the buildings are going to look like, how close to the roadway they're actually going to set, parking calculations. This is a very unique area to the township, so a number of different areas that it's really going to fine tune and help shape exactly the development that we're looking for there.
Thank you. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, motion by Clerk Posey, supported by Trustee Oliver, to approve the contract to develop the Town Center Overlay District with Carlisle Wortman, amount of $17,124. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Mr. Box. Moving on to item 15 is a request to purchase nozzles from MES at a total cost of $9,225.
So moved.
Support.
Chief.
Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, I'm requesting your approval to purchase 12 nozzles for the 2 new fire engines that are currently in production. The nozzles will replace the current nozzles that are on the 2 engines that will be replaced with the new ones. Current nozzles have been in service 15 to 25 years and are in need of replacement. MES was awarded a competitively solicited cooperative contract through Sourcewell, of which Macomb Township is a participating agency. I included the confirmation of process memo from the purchasing department, and the purchase was included in the current fire improvement budget. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none, motion by Trustee Lucido, supported by Trustee Papa, to purchase nozzles from MES in the amount of $9,225. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Item 16 is a request to purchase 2 800 megahertz radios from Spectrum Wireless at a total cost of $13,908.
So move.
Support.
Chief.
Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, I'm requesting your approval this evening to purchase 2 800 megahertz mobile radios for the 2 new fire engines. The current radios that are in the engines are 21 years old. They've reached their end of their life and parts are no longer available from Motorola. Again, pricing was obtained utilizing the MyDeal bid program. Macomb Township's a participating agency in MyDeal and may utilize the cooperatively solicited contract that was awarded to E.F. Johnson, whose authorized dealer for this area is Spectrum Wireless. I've included the confirmation of process memo from the purchasing department, and this purchase was included in the current fire improvement budget. I'll be happy to answer any questions.
Thank you, Chief. Anyone have a question or discussion? Okay, hearing none. Motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Papa, to approve the purchase of two 800 megahertz radios from Spectrum Wireless, in the amount of $13,908. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And the next item is a request to purchase adapters from MES at a total cost of $21,071.
So moved.
Support.
Motion by
Pete.
Lucido.
Yep.
Chief.
Mr. Supervisor, members of the board, I'm requesting your approval to purchase adapters for all of our apparatus from MES at a total cost of $21,071. With the anticipated delivery of the two new fire engines, we'll be changing all apparatus except for the ladder truck over to 4-inch large diameter supply hose. Currently, we carry 5-inch large diameter supply hose on all the apparatus. All the fire engines are outfitted with 1,500 gallon per minute pumps. The 4-inch supply hose is capable of supplying that. The ladder truck's outfitted with a 2,000 gallon per minute pump, which will continue to carry the 5-inch hose. The 4-inch hose is much lighter and easier to deploy and maneuver compared to the 5-inch hose. And in order to ensure we can utilize any size hose that may be needed, the adapters are required. MES was awarded the competitively solicited cooperative contract through Sourcewell, and I've included the confirmation of process memo from the purchasing department, and this was included in the fire improvement budget.
Thank you, Chief. Any questions or discussion? Hearing none. Motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Lucido. I'm sorry, backwards again. Motion by Trustee Lucido, supported by Treasurer Gillette, to approve the purchase of adapters from MES, total cost of $21,071. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. Thank you, Chief.
Thank you.
Moving on to item 18. This is a request to adopt a resolution to authorize the supervisor to execute the Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transportation Municipal Credit and Community Credit Contract for fiscal year 2025.
So move.
Support.
At this time, I'm going to ask Mr. White from Richmond Lennox if you want to say a few words. He's going to be the recipient of these credits, his agency.
Certainly, and I'll try to be brief. First and foremost, I want to take a minute tonight to recognize both Mr. Drulette and Mr. Viviano. They have worked tirelessly in an effort to request of SMART a larger portion of the millage that your community pays to SMART to fund bus operations, and to try to bring a larger portion of those back to the community. And I thank them both for all their work on this. Sometimes with an organization the size of SMART, it takes a little bit of time to move an aircraft carrier, and that's what we are, in fact, struggling with. But I'm hopeful that we're making progress that might be able to bring some additional dollars back to your community that will allow us to further enhance the service that we're providing. We're up against the same cost constraints that all of you are. All of our costs are increasing. I had shared with both Mr. Viviano and Mr. Drulette that we insure through the Michigan Municipal Risk Management Authority for these vehicles. Our insurance last year went up $90,000. The amount we received back from SMART from all the communities that we serve went up about 1.75% in total. We're just not making ends meet anymore, and so we have had to pare back slowly some service. We're trying to do that with a scalpel and not a machete at this point, but certainly, those are considerations that we are all working through and hopeful to correct. That said, it's been a good year for service here in Macomb Township. Even with making some service adjustments, we still saw an increase in ridership in 2023. You had 7,491 riders, and in 2024, 8,014. So we saw yet another increase in ridership here within the township. So I'm very pleased that we were able to do that. You and now Clinton Township are the two biggest communities where we provide this small bus service or community partnership. I will share with you that this has kind of been a strange year because of the ongoing negotiations with SMART. These contracts should have been out in April, and so and would have began normally July 1st. So we've been operating in good faith and working with your supervisor and treasurer and without contracts since the 1st of July. So this contract will be retroactive to July 1. What that means is, and what we hope, is that you'll see my smiling face again in about April or May, and maybe, just maybe, with some more money. So with that, unless there are any questions particularly of the board, that's all I have to report this evening.
Thank you, Mr. White. Any questions or discussion?
Mr. Chair, I have a comment, if I may.
You may.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and thank you, Mr. White, for being here this evening. Macomb Township sends about $4 million a year to SMART in tax dollars, and we get a tiny fraction of that back that provides for your service. Yet the service you provide is the service that our residents need. It's a small shuttle buses that pick up seniors or disabled from their home and drive them directly to where they need to be, whether it's a doctor's visit or some other type of appointment. It frustrates me that when SMART's millage is up for renewal, their TV ads feature that specific service, picking up grandma, taking her to the hospital. Yet once the election's over, 98% of the money goes to the mainline big buses that are really not what our residents in Macomb Township utilize or need. So I appreciate the fact that you're working with Supervisor Viviano, myself, and other members of this board to try to impress upon SMART that that is not a fiscal arrangement that meets the needs of our residents. That we, our residents and our taxpayers, deserve more of our dollars helping out the residents how they need that help. Your service provides that help to them. So I hope that we continue to work together and can get a better deal and better service for our community. Thank you.
We'll keep at it, sir.
Thank you, Treasurer Gillette. Anyone else? Okay. We have a motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Lucido, to adopt a resolution to authorize the supervisor to execute the Suburban Mobility Authority for Regional Transport Municipal Credit and Community Credit Contract for fiscal year 2025. Clerk Posey, will you call the roll?
Yes, Mr. Supervisor. Treasurer Drollet?
Yes.
Trustee Lucido?
Yes.
Trustee Kuzimano?
Yes.
Trustee Papa?
Yes.
Trustee Oliver?
Yes.
Clerk Posey, yes. Supervisor Viviano?
Yes, that resolution is adopted.
Thank you all.
See you in a couple
you.
months.
Before that.
All right, moving on to item 19 is a request to approve a radar speed sign policy and procedure.
So moved.
Support?
Yeah. So this was discussed with the board at the last budget hearing. We set some money aside for this specific program. The details and the policy itself are in the board packet, but I'll hit the highlights. So what the township would like to do is install radar speed signs on some of the collector roads in the township. So the collector roads are the subdivision roads. They're a little bit wider. They typically extend a full mile, and they're just about in the middle of the half mile between the major roads. These roads, because they're wider and more comfortable, tend to have more speeding, incidents of speeding. The radar speed signs provide instant feedback for drivers and act as a traffic calming measure, thereby reducing speed. These units that we intend to purchase also have data collection, and we intend to collect the data and have it available to the Macomb County Sheriffs who patrol our streets, and they'll use that data over time to know when and where to deploy the patrols that service our area. This is effectively a pilot program. We're going to do it in 3 streets, correct?
Correct.
This year.
Yep.
Hopefully to installing 6 signs. And we're going to see how it goes. We're going to judge its efficacy alongside the Macomb County Sheriff's Office. And hopefully, if it works, we're going to come back again next year and do 3 more. Treasurer Gillette's been involved in this heavily. Do you have anything to add to that?
Nothing other than this is a budgeted item. I know there's not a financial element of this today, but it's the policy surrounding that. We'll be coming back before this board to approve the actual purchase of the signs, probably at the next meeting. and then hopefully be established in those signs in the spring with the help of the Macomb Department of Roads.
With that, I'll take any questions.
I just had a question. Are we able to share which are the first three that we're looking at for that, or?
I don't have that in front of me, but we got the details. Do you remember which ones they are?
There were 16 roads identified by the Sheriff's Department and by the Department of Roads that are
eligible.
Correct. And so we'll be working with the Sheriff Department and the Department of Roads to identify which three of those hasn't been narrowed down entirely yet. Will be selected initially, but it'll be based primarily on their ability to host a sign within that roadway, according to the Department of Roads, and the number of complaints and tickets written on those roads.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Just, can you define the data that's getting collected?
So we're not taking photos to write tickets. They are collecting as each vehicle passes the speed it's traveling, and basically the number of vehicles that pass by. Basically, they're going to take an average number of vehicles and how fast they're going, and if presumably if they determine that, let's say at 10 o'clock they see a spike in people speeding, they'll send a car over that way to sit on the street for that period of time and try and encourage our residents to adhere to the speed limit.
Will these signs be portable?
No, these are permanently installed.
They're going to be permanent. Okay.
They are permanent. We do have some portable ones already. We have a trailer that the township owns that the sheriff's office uses. Sheriff's office also has two portable signs that can be installed kind of wherever, and people may have seen them. They were most recently, I think, on Romeo Plank about 2 months ago, heading north along near 25. So that's the sheriff's office has those, and they use those in spots of need. But these will be permanent ones. And if this program goes well, we'll cover all 16 collector roads with these solar-powered radar signs, and will help control some of the speeding and help the sheriff's office deploy their resources where it's needed.
Good. Thank you.
Anyone else?
One more quick note, Mr. Chair, if I may. There's a number of studies that have been done both by universities and National Highway Department that show that these signs generally are effective over long term. There is some fall off as people adapt to them, but they retain effectiveness into the future compared to streets with no signs. So I'm optimistic that hopefully we'll see people slowing down in the subdivisions where the kids are playing and the dogs are out, and hopefully it'll make them a safer community.
Thank you, Treasurer Todd. If there's no more questions,
That's it?
I've driven through a few of them signs, and when I see them flashing, if I'm accidentally going too fast, I immediately slow down. So they are effective. I will, and I think it's a great safety thing for the community.
Yeah, the one on the Romeo Plank, actually, first time I saw it caught me off guard, and I immediately tapped the brakes.
Yeah.
I didn't even know how fast I was going, but
Yeah.
that does work.
You were speeding.
I was probably speeding. More than likely true. All right, if there's no more questions or comments, we have a motion by Trustee Papa, supported by Treasurer Gillette, to approve the radar speed sign policy and procedure. Members, please vote. Motion passes unanimously. And our last item of the evening, this is the add-on. Is there a motion to approve the Hayde Road, let me rephrase this. Is there a motion to approve our response to the Macomb County Department of Roads letter regarding the Hayes Road speed limit increase?
Trustee Kuzma makes the motion.
Support.
So when I got back from the holiday break, the first part of January, I opened a letter from the Macomb County Department of Roads. They had conducted a speed study on Hayes for the full length of the 6-mile stretch. I have it here somewhere. There it is. The township and our staff, we were unaware that a speed study was being conducted. We since learned, and only a couple of days ago, that this speed study, and Crystal can correct me if I get any of this wrong, was the result of the initial Hayes widening project, correct? So I don't know why it took so long to have the speed study done, but it is a required component of these large road improvement programs. It is conducted by the state police and requested by the Macomb County Department of Roads. The letter that was sent to us drew the conclusion that Hayes Road would be considered unposted henceforward, meaning the speed limit would increase from 45 to 55 miles per hour. I have written a response that I'm asking the board to approve. I will read it so that the residents understand what our response is. In response to the letter dated January 2nd, 2025, Macomb Township objects to the raising of the speed limit on Hayes Road from 45 to 55 miles per hour. Methodology outlined in the Michigan Vehicle Code and relied on by the Michigan State Police in arriving at the determination is flawed and outdated. Michigan HB 4012 was enacted into law in April of 2024 because the legislature recognized that townships may introduce other factors that could and should be considered when determining speed limits. The letter sent to the Macomb Township requesting us to concur with the Michigan State Police only presented a conclusion. There was no supporting data or attached studies for us to reference or ask our own engineers to review. And without the underlying facts for an independent review or the opportunity to present alternative data or studies, we cannot concur. The Macomb Township Board of Trustees is concerned that increasing the speed limit will jeopardize the health, safety, and welfare of our residents. At a time when municipalities across the region are investing in ways to encourage pedestrian activity and alternative means of transportation, it seems counterproductive to be raising a speed limits that have been in place for years. Additionally, removing speed limit signs and leaving the road as, quote, unposted will only serve to confuse many drivers who regularly travel Hayes Road. Respectfully, Frank Viviano, Supervisor. So with that, I will take any questions or comments. Hearing none. Motion by trustee Guzmano, supported by trustee Oliver, to approve the supervisor's response to the Macomb County Department of Roads letter regarding the increasing Hayes Road speed limit. Did we already vote? No.
No.
Oh, we do it with this Susanna, I'm sorry. All in favor?
Aye.
All opposed? Motion is adopted. Okay. This will take us to our final public comment. This is for non-agenda items. Anyone who has public anything they wish to say may do so now at the microphone on the right-hand side of the room. I don't see anyone moving, so we're going to move on to board comments. Trustee Lucido.
Just congratulations to firefighter Hojnacki on his retirement, and everybody have a good week. Thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Lucido. Trustee Papa.
Yes, also congratulations to firefighter Hojnacki as well. Just a reminder for folks who, or if you didn't know, a week from today at the Recreation Center, they are having a blood drive. Red Cross will be there. You can call ahead and get schedule a slot, or you can just come in and they'll take you. So hopefully, if you've got an opportunity, give blood.
Thank you, Trustee Papa. Trustee Oliver.
Same thing, 20 years of service. Thank you, Mr. Ojak. It's a lot. Thank you for getting them speed limit signs. I think that's going to be a good thing. It's going to slow down traffic. Then I have a quick little public service note from Dave Piper. He is a member of Friends of Macomb, and he asked me if I'd pass this on, so I will. And it's from the Friends of Macomb Township are having a pasta dinner fundraiser beginning at 6 p.m. on Saturday, February 15th at St. John Vianney Church to support the Glen Peters School. The cost is $20 for adults, $12 for children under 10, and children under 3 are free. There'll be games, prizes, and a raffle. If you want your ticket, go to friendsofmacomb.org, and if you can't make it, I'm sure they'll take a donation. And that's it.
Thank you, Trustee Oliver. Trustee Kuzmano.
No comments tonight, thank you.
Thank you, Trustee Kuzmano. Treasurer Gillette.
No comment, thank you.
Wonder why. Treasurer Gillette. Trustee Cook Posey.
That was a favorite.
Congratulations to firefighter Hojanaki on his retirement. I hope that he enjoys his time. And to all the businesses that presented tonight, thank you for the work that you do. And to our residents of Macomb Township, stay warm.
Thank you, Clerk Posey. I want to echo the congratulations to firefighter Hojanaki. Our fire department does a great job. Our formerly paid on-call, now part-time staff is an integral part of our department, and we will miss his service. Trustee Papa stole my thunder on the blood drive, so I'll skip that on my notes. Stay warm out there. With that, I will ask for a motion to adjourn.
Chair, I move that we adjourn the meeting at 6:31.
Sure, nobody has anything else to say for a few minutes? No. Is there a second?
Support.
There's actually 24 seconds.
Any discussion on the motion? Anyone want to talk about it for a while? No. Motion by Treasurer Gillette, supported by Trustee Lucido to adjourn the meeting. Members, please vote. I wonder if this will get stuck in this big circle and not update.
Spin.
So you could hit it right on the nose, Pete.
Appreciate it.
You got it.
Motion passes unanimously. This meeting is adjourned.
Pete had it.